The former congressman from Texas is with us. It's great to see you. Kevin Brady, welcome back to Bloomberg. There's so much we'd love to talk to you about. And before I get to tax policy, I know Kaylee wants to go there as well. I just would love your thoughts on what just happened in your former House of Representatives. After 7 months of pushback, this new Speaker of the House managed to pass bills to fund our allies in hot wars around the world. The president signed it today. What does that say about the status of Mike Johnson as Speaker?
Well, Joe and Kaylee, it's great to see you again. I love being on Balance of Power. So I think, Speaker Johnson, made a commitment for a very strong America, projecting our strength around the world and keeping us safe for the longer term. He found a way to find common ground and cobble together not just key priorities for our allies and us, rebuilding our military strength as well, but found a way to find common ground on how we seize Russian assets and help pay for the eventual rehabilitation of Ukraine. So, I think it was a masterful job. Shows he is a Ronald Reagan conservative and seeking to lead his House under difficult situations the very best he can.
Well, sir, it's interesting as well that this is not the only thing we've actually seen be able to get through the House with massive bipartisan votes for it. That also happened with the tax package that passed the House. It's very unclear what will happen in the Senate. So we want to get to you on the subject of taxes now, considering we can announce today that you're now strategic advisor for the Alliance of Competitive Taxation. I'm sure there's a lot you want to do in this new role, sir, but what about the tax issue that already is currently sitting in the Senate? Do you have any real hope that that bipartisan deal that would include tax breaks for businesses, expand the child tax credit, will actually get through in this Congress? Or is this something we're not going to deal with until 2025?
So I think we're all hopeful. ACT is a nonpartisan, really policy-focused group of tax directors from 48 of America's leading companies. And these are companies that hire millions of workers, have lots of small businesses, mid-sized businesses that depend on them, but they compete around the world each and every day against China, Europe, and foreign competitors. So they have a great deal of insight for policymakers, Republican or Democrat, on these issues. They are supportive of the package, as I understand, mainly because the business provisions within that package helps them compete, drives research, new equipment, technology here in the United States. I think they're all hopeful that perhaps they can find common ground sooner rather than later.
Congressman, in your new capacity representing business interests here, you're going to be attempting and working to preserve the 2017 tax cuts to make them permanent. And we've got a new poll out today, and I wonder what your reaction to this is. This is D's and R's. 77% of registered voters in the 7 swing states that we are tracking. 77%. There are not a lot of issues where we can get a number like that. Support the idea of a billionaire's tax to pay for Social Security and other entitlements. How do you have both when you're trying to extend the 2017 tax cuts? Could we also see a billionaire's tax in America?
I don't think it's like that. I'm always surprised those polls aren't at 100%, because who doesn't want to tax millionaires and billionaires? But the truth of the matter is, what taxpayers are hoping for, then 2025 Congress, both parties will come together to extend those middle class and personal tax cuts, the tax cuts for small business that are so critical, and then extend the business provisions that have allowed American companies, small or large, to compete around the world and win and bring their profits back to invest in America. ACT, which is this coalition, is focused on providing research and policy ideas to Congress on issues like, how do you make sure America is the very best place to invest and create new jobs? How do you make sure American companies can compete and win anywhere in the world, especially when China is so publicly targeting our American industries? And finally, they want to incentivize more research and innovation in the U.S. because, as you know, the country that wins the innovation race really wins the future. And so these policy ideas that I think Republicans and Democrats are both vitally interested in.
Well, Congressman, how do you make sure these policy ideas, though, are also fiscally responsible? Because as much as the Trump tax cuts of 2017 may be heralded for the impact they had on businesses, we also saw trillions of dollars added to the federal deficit. If you're not getting as much revenue, but you're still spending a lot, that isn't exactly the kind of equation you want to see for deficit reduction. So what's the responsible way to pursue this?
Yeah. So I think they didn't add trillions of dollars to the debt. That's been fact-checked as misleading, even though the president continues to claim that. In fact, the corporate tax revenues, which were initially criticized, we're now generating more for the U.S. government at 21% tax rate than we were at 35% corporate tax rate. And why? Because we're growing the economy from the business community, increasing workers' paychecks, drawing investment and new jobs back to the United States. And so what I do think is lawmakers on both sides of the aisle will be looking for ways to offset some of those taxes. And I will tell you, in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we didn't have $1.5 trillion of taxes. We had $5.5 trillion of tax reform. We made major changes to the tax code to simplify it, make it more fair, eliminate provisions for some so we could lower taxes for everyone, middle-class families, working moms, small businesses, and the like. And I think you'll see lawmakers taking much the same approach in 2025.